If you frequently work using the Linux terminal, then the history feature on the shell you use can greatly help increase your productivity. However, shells like bash or zsh typically have some limited features. For instance, there is no information stored about whether a command was successfully executed or not, how long it takes for your computer to complete a command, or which directory a command was run from. For most Linux users, these features are indeed more than sufficient and not essential. However, for some other Linux users, this feature can be very helpful when conducting investigations or troubleshooting on a system. If this information can be stored centrally and searched based on specific keywords, it will certainly help Linux system administrators who often use many complex commands with pipelines. Fortunately, there is a program called HiShtory. HiShtory is a program that stores terminal history context, including the date, time, and the location of the active directory when the command was executed. This information can be stored locally or centrally through a client-server architecture. In other words, you can easily perform complex shell pipeline searches from a server or another machine, even if you're accessing them from your laptop or one of your computers. Let's start from installing HiShtory server. Log into your server and clone the source code. Please note that I will be using the Docker version of the server, so ensure that the server computer has Docker installed and properly configured to run seamlessly. Enter the source code directory and edit the Docker Compose file for the server. Since I'll be using PostgreSQL as my backend database, I'll need to modify the default database password to make it more secure. Additionally, since port 80 is already in use by another process, I'll need to change the server's listen port to a different one. Let's save this Docker Compose file and then build the Docker image. The build process may take a while, so let me skip the video and go to the next process. After the build process was completed, run the Docker container and make sure that the container is up and running. You can check by running docker ps command or directly check the HTTP response. Now it's time to install the HiShtory client itself. One important consideration is that, since we are using a self-hosted setup, you must add the HiShtory server environment variable to your bashrc or zshrc file. In my case, I store most of my environment variable to my zsenv file, so I will put the environment variable there. Additionally, by default, the HiShtory client is installed in .history folder under the user's home directory. To keep my home directory organized, I will use the .config/HiShtory directory. This can be achieved by adding HiShtory path environment variable to your bashrc or zshrc file. After adding these environment variables, you should reload your shell session to ensure that all previously set environment variables are loaded. Next, download and execute the available installation script. The script will automatically generate your device ID and secret key as well as various other basic configurations. Save the secret key that appears so you can use it for synchronization on other computers. Since the server seems to be running as expected, I'll now run the Docker container in the background and close all these terminal windows. Anyway, if you forgot your secret key, you can find it by running the HiShtory status command. To configure this setup on additional computers or servers, simply replicate the client installation process you've completed previously. Start by setting up your environment variables and then execute the install script. And don't forget to adjust the server URL to the correct location first. I need to make sure that all needed environment variables are set before executing the install script, so I export those environment variables multiple times just in case. After completing the installation process, simply run HiShtory init, followed by your secret key from your terminal. To search your command history, you can press Ctrl-R or run the HiShtory query command. This will allow you to see the commands you've run on all your other computers. For other features and commands, you can refer to the HiSHtory -help command or consult the documentation in their GitHub repository. Thanks for watching.